Commander Forge Alliance. This is a live game. I'm behind about 15 minutes, but I think people will enjoy this one based on what I've seen so far. We got Armageddon here playing Setons mid. He almost never plays it, but you can see here an air build in Setons mid, which is very strange, but let's see how that works out. Of course, on his team he's got here Zock playing a Cybran. Dangerous to play Cybran as Navy, but Zock's really good. And Isen also playing a Cybran. So two Cybran players on the sides. This is really reminiscent of Setons about a year ago. 3599, two Cybran players. Seraphim player in the middle, but this is impossible in 3599. But this you almost never see how that works out. And of course on their team they got Tiger, KF Tiger, French player, extremely good at air. Maybe not quite as good as Grim. Grim is the original. Got Aeon, and of course on Grim's team we got Lion. Extremely good. The EF, so EF versus Cybran, this will be a nice matchup. Of course Sith here with Seraphim taking on Zock. So Seraphim versus Cybran. So Cybran Seraphim, Cybran EF. See how that works out. We got Megatron here. He's actually doing this build which is really nice. Two engineers and a tank. He did this against me where he made artillery, took out my engineer. It was really nice. But let's see how that fares against the bomber from Armageddon. I imagine that Mega is going to be very much amused. You can see the bomber is just going to bypass. Perhaps it would have been better for the bomber to take out these engineers. That's exactly what I would have done. No engineers here. He's looking for engineers working on something, but that's not part of Megatron's build. And this is actually quite funny. Armma not able to find anything to kill, because everything to kill is going up. Mega with a very aggressive build. Mega, of course, right away says he does not agree with these tactics. Zock doing a great build here. Looks like quite a few pigeons would go into the air. Gonna lose that adjacency, but that's alright. So it looks a lot like Dim. The bomber is not coming back, but gotta notice here interceptor from Grimjo from the back. Looks like one kill so far for that bomber. One thing that the bomber hasn't taken out is either one of these engineers, which is really bad for Armageddon. He is about to lose the bomber. So that all in from Armma, even though Mega is still mad about it, it was actually a huge mistake. And now we can see Megatron has 3 engineering units getting all the mass. Armma still hasn't got any mass. You can see here Mega has already got 3,500, and all this is going to go to his allies. So these interceptors that Grim has sent are definitely going to be paid for. We're going to see some great fights for this island between Zock and Sith. You can see here Zock in her transport at 347, just a little late. That does allow Zock to send a bomber, 3 interceptors, so he's going to get air control over that island. This is great to see from Grim. Total reconnaissance above Armma. It looks like Armma's thinking about another bomber, but that'll be a bad idea. Grim takes one interceptor to do some reconnaissance. Looks like Isen takes a long time not to take this island. If he would have played this against an aggressive player from Lion, but I guess maybe he knows Lion is usually plays very safe. And here we got Sith with 2 engineers on the side looking to make the drop, and looks like she is sneaky enough to do this. Is going to lose an island, lose an engineer, but is going to take the island, it seems. So a bit of a mistake perhaps from Zock. Went after engineer, went into an air fight, but let Sith transport get in. Zock still has bombers. Down the middle, actually one interesting thing we missed, Mega actually had both of his engineers. One of the engineers from Mega picked up a whole bunch of mass in this area. Actually Mega now in danger of dying. Still has problems making units. He's got to run for the water, and this is dangerous given that submarines are being made by Zock. So even if he makes it into the water, which he should, he's got plenty of health. Some nice blocking from Armma. Of course here at minute 5, Mega 11,000, Armma 2,700. That basically is suicide for your team, what Armma just did. Interesting. McMarine's still alive here from Mega. And you can see based on the scores, top 3 scores of these back players, because they got a ridiculous amount of mass. And meanwhile, big trouble for Sith. She has dropped a few engineers, but instead of making these mass extractors, should have made that factory. And Zock's bomber has taken care of it, and it looks like this drop from Zock full of engineers will be successful before it can be shot down. And now factory right away from Zock. So Zock looks like he's going to hold on. Really nice place from Zock. He's already got a navy as well as making submarines. And this is really bad for Mega. He's gonna. One thing he can try to do is run across. This would be a good move, just to run across into the other ocean. Though he probably doesn't know there's a submarine there. It could be just as dangerous in this ocean. But instead he's going off to get some veterancy, and armma is gonna pull back. So Mega needs to do something creative here. Don't go back into that ocean. Go in here. You want to surprise your opponents. A bit of a fight here, but it looks like Mega should have enough units. And a drop now from Sith. A couple engineers. These are going to be killed very quickly. Unsuccessful. So Zock taking over our island. Looks like air control should go in Sith's favor. Still some bombers from Zock. Zock extremely good with T1 air. Now submarines coming in from Zock. Mega's got to get out. He's got to run. And looks like he's about to make it. See some bombers here from Lion trying to help out. Mega on the run. The ACU isn't there. He should be able to survive. See Sith here is already in the ocean making submarines. Lion being a little bit aggressive, got a sub, some frigates, and perhaps a drop now from Isen as well. And somehow, why did Mega go back into the water? So yeah, Mega did not realize that there was submarines. And still had 2,000 health, taking on a couple tanks. He could have easily survived if he did not go into the ocean. But since he did, you can see armma's ACU pulling up, so that's death for Mega. So he should really not have died. He should just pulled back, killed those units. But that's the advantage of having Zock with those quick subs. Of course, now armma is not going to let Mega out the second time, and we're going to see the first kill of the game. You can see the standard Setons rule. There will be a GIF here. Transport from Isen is not going to work. Lion takes care of the situation. More bombers are coming in from Tiger. Nice to see Tiger building quite a bit of T1 air, trying to help out. Armma with a single kill. Most likely the ACU not getting an upgrade. So in this situation, armma's got to realize Mega's got no base, or very little. There's actually some T2 here. He's got to push as fast as he can, put so much pressure on this back team that they have to worry about middle and side. That will put a lot of pressure on Lion, allowing Isen to do something. It'll also put pressure on the back player to try to make some T2 air, which will mess up the builds and perhaps give Tiger a bit of an advantage. Now we're seeing here Sith trying to get back the air, and it's an artillery fight. Seraphim versus Cybran. Definitely take Seraphim in this one. Now looking at Zock's base, still just Tech 1. Nice build capacity. Has mostly T2 mass extractors here by minute 10. It's a pretty decent eco given how much you put into the Navy. And now here we're seeing units from armma. This early push, it's really just some harassment. It's not a proper push. Armageddon should be pushing with his ACU. Some engineers to get quick upgrades, get the missile upgrade. Would expect Sith. She should be paranoid. You can see now. She knows that armma is Seraphim. She's making Team D. This is a beautiful target here for any mid player who's in Armageddon's position. Elsewhere we're seeing T2 Cybran Navy versus Tech 1 EF. And that's usually the counter to naval rushes. Can't really say this is a very big naval rush, but it is early Navy. You can see just numbers of frigates should be able to get you the victory. And of course, with the reclaim in the water, any kind of failed naval rushes give a lot of mass to this to the other team that successfully defended. That's a big Tech 1 naval force here from Zock. Looks like he is now going T2 at yet another T1 factory. This is beautifully done here by Zock, as if he's been playing Setons all the time. This is what you usually see from Cybran Navy. So good work. Of course, Cybran is gonna be not as good in late game without shields and without a very good T3 unit that would see a battle cruiser. We see still Tech 1 Navy, just a massive Tech 1 Navy, spam a whole bunch of frigates. Of course, T2 can outrange. Looks like Lion's taking care of problems here in the middle. He's going to have a pretty good eco. He'll be able to compete with Zock, but of course he's going to be taking on both Zock and armma. And mistake that armma could make is if he does not put pressure and just ecos. You got to put as much pressure on this base, so that Lion can get a really big navy. If he gets a big navy, he can just start defending the middle. You want to keep this navy out of the middle so you can exploit your advantage. And elsewhere here we've got a big problem for Sith. All these frigates coming in. You can see Sith desperately trying to get some torpedo launchers. This is really nice stuff from Zock, really bringing back respect for Cybran Navy. Of course, what he's doing right here is extremely dangerous if he's not successful. All these wrecks, and of course Sith has Navy everywhere. Haven't seen too much from the back players. We see some scouting. T3 scouts from Tiger. In terms of their scores, they're very similar, a little advantage for Tiger. You can see here actually some torpedo bombers coming out for Grim. And it's a frigate on frigate fight. Another T2 ship coming in from Isen. So both Isen and Zock doing very nice Cybran Navy builds, but very dangerous. Now a destroyer now from Lion. It's basically like an all-in. Looks like successful defense here from Sith, but a lot of wrecks and no build capacity. So we should see this T2 Navy. You see a stealth ship plus 2 destroyers from Zock. He's moving ahead. T1 Air completely controlled by Sith, and she does have T2, and she has the possibility to make torpedo bombers. Lion down to a single destroyer now. It's 2 destroyers, and of course 2 destroyers from UEF have the highest health, highest damage per second, at least on their main gun. This is what Cybran Navy should never do, is turn their back, because they can't shoot backwards. With UEF there's 2 cannons. Sideways is where they get the most damage. And now some shields. This is an excellent unit for UEF. Makes all the difference. Some T2 point defense here from Lion to defend against these frigates. And now these destroyers from Lion taking care of business. So he should be in pretty good shape. You can see the build here from Isen, T2 Navy. A whole bunch of Tech 1. So he's really focusing on Tech 1. Looking at this is definitely drop material. This would be a great place to put some artillery. Elsewhere, it's a pretty tough battle still between Sith and Zock, and here it is, T2 gunships and torpedo bombers against these destroyers. Don't have very good AA, and a massive Tech 1 force as well, and gunships. So Sith really pushing back against the Cybran Navy with Seraphim, and of course at T3 with those submarines, Cybran Navy is going to be at a big disadvantage, as well as the mobile shields, T3 floating shields from Seraphim. Once again, destroyers. And this is, you really can't compete with UEF when they can do this. And some actually power problems. So if they have power problems, you can definitely compete. And here you can see this destroyer can't shoot backwards. Big power problems for Lion. Also, we see some cruisers now coming out for Zock. This will prevent the T2 gunships from doing anything. Sith is going to save him, perhaps try to take out this cruiser and re-engage with the gunships. And a push now from Arma. He needs to be much more aggressive. He's very methodical. You can see a lot of T2 here from Lion. He should be able to force Arma back. He needs to be making enough units here. Instead of all this teching, a whole bunch of Tech 1 artillery, and just run Lion over. There's no reason why Lion has this base. You got to be very aggressive there. But Arma is content with just taking, so perhaps he's just going to go for a quick chicken. He is working on an Omni. The T3 Raider in the middle of the map is going to be excellent. There's a nice push here from Sith. Once again, you never want to run with Cybran Navy. And these destroyers are putting their back to these frigates. Some T2 bombers now from Isen. And Lion having some problems. He's got destroyers on the back door. Nice stuff here from Isen. Trying to pull Lion apart. And frigates, excellent force against shields. Get underneath the shields, kill the shield. Put this navy in a big trouble. We see a cruiser here. That's going to be defeated. A couple of destroyers, but excellent move there. That is classic Cybran gameplay there from Isen. Beautiful to see. And it looks like Zock with enough T2 Navy is putting a stop to this push from Sith. Sith a little too aggressive. She needs to pull back, recollect her units, and these gunships here would be very afraid You see this cruiser number is getting built up, and with multiple cruisers you don't really want to go with Navy. Perhaps we'll see first ASF fight here, minute 18. See gunships moving in, and Tiger being very aggressive, and that's very dangerous to do against someone like Grim. He's excellent at micro. Very even numbers, and this is definitely a mistake. That was a bad turn there from Tiger. Tiger has just given away air, and here we see EEF. Once EEF gets battle cruisers and shields, it's basically all over for Cybran, and that was a very bad turn of events. Big gamble there from Tiger. Not really clear what he's trying to accomplish. Probably trying to maximize the effect of the Cybran Navy from Isen, trying to protect against any torpedo bombers, but as he was doing that, he lost there. He still got nice production. I also have Sith really getting pushed back. You can see this push, very good aggression. So here, just the team play from this entire team. You can see the Navy's very high aggression, middle not aggressive. You don't really want to do that. If everybody just texts, that's fine, but you don't want to be on different pages. Looks like a bit of success here from armma, of course. This is a pretty late attack. We see T2 point defense under shields, Tech 1 point defense. Gave Lion a chance to build up, and here we see this battle cruiser taking out a whole bunch of units. Should see some torpedo boats. This battle cruiser just got the range, just melts T1 navies away. T1 navy against battle cruiser is not a good strategy. But Zock here is still doing extremely well. We see some T3 bombers here from Grim as well, so a lot of help for Lion. Lion still has a bunch of shields. This T1, actually some T2 submarines as well. They're very low damage per second, so it takes them a really long time to kill anything. More torpedo boats and some torpedo launchers. And these submarines are all going to die. A whole bunch of torpedo bombers as well. So the Cybran push without air support is doomed. There are no shields, so if you lose air, you can't do anything as Cybran. This should be a nice counterattack. And notice what's happening. So much mass that Lion can just take and use as his own. So this is what happens when you fail a naval rush, a naval attack. And now we see some restorers from Grim helping out in the middle. We see some T2 flak there as well. Still the most interesting fight, Zock against Sith. Looks like Sith is going to get a little help. She definitely needs it. It's a nice ball of units here, multiple cruisers, destroyers. Sith is still at Tech 1. 100% Tech 1 Navy. And we gotta say this strategy is beginning to fail. But Grim should be able to help her out. All you gotta do is snipe a couple of these cruisers, kill a couple of those T2 ships, and it's over. Some bombers now from Isen. Probably gonna try to help Zock out. This T2 flag here are doing a good job forcing the restorers back. Now we've seen restorers and torpedo bombers for Grim moving in, and we gotta say Sith is in quite a bit of trouble. He's gonna move out. The T2 gunships still should die quite quickly. And this is really all that Sith has. These two naval factions. She really needs to make more. But we gotta remember, Grim has T3. Tiger should have never had that fight. This would not be a possibility. If Tiger had his fight over these cruisers, he might have a much better chance against Grim. But as it stands, that didn't happen. You can see a massive force. It'll be a matter of time before everything here disappears, unless of course these torpedo bombers snipe out all the cruisers, which is exactly what they're doing. Some restorers as well. It'll be a big failure there for Zock. We should see Tiger move in. He's got to try to maximize the lifespan of this Navy. If he's not fighting here, he's really not going to get a better chance. And now we're seeing some countering. The battle cruiser, 22 kills. Yet another battle cruiser from Lion. Eisen's got to scratch his head, and he's got to do something. Not nearly enough build capacity here. He does have a whole bunch of T3. Should be doing something. With this type of construction of Navy, he is going to die very quickly. Now, armma is going to have some problems facing this Navy. I guess that while that's happening, we did see Tiger come in, try to help Zock out, but he is going to lose Navy once again, but he made the right choice. He's giving this Navy from Zock a little more time to destroy as much of this infrastructure. And as long as that infrastructure is going down, Zock can keep spamming cruisers. And cruisers are going to cost the other team a lot of air. See all those dead ships. Torpedo launchers now from torpedo bombers from Sith. See single ASFs from Tiger is trying to do as much as he can, but there's only so much that he can do. See if those cruisers can make life difficult. And this is great. This is what armma should have been doing the whole game. This is like 10 minutes after he's won middle. Floating arty, you should have been putting that all over Sith's base. This is great. Better late than never. And now we see this UEF Cybran fight. Still just Tech 1 submarines. And against torpedo boats together with shields. This should be a pretty easy fight. This is excellent to see from armma. Sith slowly losing her infrastructure. Stealth. Some more cruisers. Yeah, this is great stuff from Zock. Zock is an excellent naval player. Yes, we gotta say people got lazy playing without Cybran, and this is what Cybran can do for you. By far the best navy because of its long range on these destroyers. Get around, outrange anything, win the battle, and move in. One beautiful thing about Zock's navy is so much T1. You really want to have a lot of T1 supporting your T2. And this together, yeah, total domination by Zock. This is beautiful. It's going to take a lot of work from Grim to try to get this back. And yet another drop attempt will not work. Now we're seeing some T2 flag here from Tiger. That's nice to see. It's not considered naval mixing because he hasn't just given the units to Zock. That flag is going to be extremely useful. And if Zock puts a couple, yeah, Zock already got engineers in this area reclaiming. He's going to take this mass for himself. But as it stands, Cybran is very vulnerable against bombers, so perhaps it's not over yet. And at the same time, we know that this battle should go into Lion's favor. It's a question of how quickly he can move through. He's basically been busy demolishing Armageddon's forward base, which is a nice thing to do. Stop any problems that you might have in the middle. Actually, some good defense. What is Sith doing? She's pulling all her units back, and now more restores. So given how much Grim has expanded in terms of T2 and T3 here, anti-naval units, this should allow Tiger to get back into this game, although he did lose 2 of those battles already. So he's got to spam a lot. Actually, Armageddon here in a bit of trouble. T2 floating flag. You're gonna need a lot of that. And here 50 kills for that first battlecruiser, 16 for the other. Battlecruiser against floating flag, and floating flag is forcing it to retreat. That's beautiful to see. Of course, now these cruisers, 4 kills. Slowly getting killed, however. And of course, cruisers together with stealth, a lot more powerful. And here we got the stealth T3 sonar. Has a really nice stealth radius. And you can see Sith there saying that she will switch to ASF if Grim switches completely to torpedo. And looks like he is not doing that. So one thing we gotta look this late into the game, any kind of nukes. Looks like Zock has just been making cruisers. 2 different factories. You just saw Scout. Looks like a GC here from the back. It's a little strange from Tiger. Should let armma do the GC. He's been playing for 26 minutes. Surprisingly, he doesn't have all T3. Gunships from Sith. Perhaps another air fight here. Tiger coming in once again, and he will have an advantage of having flak plus cruisers to fight over. Looks like this restorer is the reason. Took out a whole bunch of T2, or that T1 going to T2 from Zock. Looks like Sith is switching to T3. She's going to be making ASF of her own. Looks like the metal problems are solved. And now Lion's got to be aggressive with his UEF. But you can see here what this is great Isen thinking here with a massive T2 submarine force. That's a great counter to these battle cruisers. Of course, Lion making a whole bunch of torpedo boats. Torpedo boats with shields will beat your stealth